Chris. How are you?
I thought you were here before.
Yeah.
Doing well, thank you.
Good
I hope
to
it's
hear it.
cold and rainy down there.
Okay.
Pardon
All
me?
I
right,
hope it's cold and rainy down
7
there, I
o'clock.
said.
We all could stand for the pledge, please.
Yeah, crazy weather.
Good.
It only reached about 70 today.
Katie, can you lead us in the pledge?
I can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our veterans, our first responders, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those suffering in the conflict in the Middle East. Thank you. Katie,
Yes.
American Creed,
America's
please.
Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and defend it against all enemies.
Thank you.
Certainly.
And do we have anybody? No one from the public. Okay.
All right.
Katie?
Item number 4, I'd like to move the consent agenda. Items 4A, prior minutes. Item 4B, tax collector.
Any, and we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 5, I'd like to move the following reappointments. Farmland and Forest Preservation Committee, Nick Pooter, term February 1st, 2024 to January 31st of 2028. Housing Partnership, Adrian Angel, term of February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2026. Those are the only two for reappointments.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
I'd like to move the following appointments. Library Board of Trustees, Sharon Chamberlain, Denise Papp, term of February 13th, 2024 to January 31st, 2028. Board of Finance, Rolando Castro, for a term of February 13th, 2024 through November 4th, 2028. And the following Buck Rock Roads.
And Katie, could we do just those?
Yes, let's just do the library
then,
and the Board of Finance.
Because we have Chuck here from
Sure.
Public Works who could talk a little bit about the scenic roads.
Thank you,
Committee.
Chris.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to move the following two temporary committees, Buck Rock Road Scenic Roads Committee, Jack Healy, Paul Murphy, Frank Wargo, Jerry Monahan, Steve Sato, and Troy Hart, and a Hind Road Scenic Roads Committee, Jack Healy, Paul Murphy, Frank Wargo, Jerry Monahan, Jeremy Levin, John Jaskolka, and Rocky Rukan.
And we have a second.
Second.
And then for discussion, we have Chuck from our DPW Engineering Department. As we know, and just for edification from those that are watching here in public, to make any kind of significant work on a scenic road, we need to have a scenic road committee comprised of town council, economic development, and residents and planning. And Chuck, could you give kind of a little bit of overview on these two roads? I know Buck Rock, we talked here before council, but just for those that may be watching.
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. So anytime a scenic road is going to be altered to a level that's above normal maintenance, the proper process is to form a committee at which you have committee members present for you guys to vote on. The rain this year, the precipitation has done some damage to these roads. In particular, these two particular portions of roads, Hine Road on the very west end and Bucks Rock where it meets Mariol, has suffered some, I'd say some, irreparable harm for normal maintenance. So at this point, once we go over that level, we're looking at basically a rehabilitation or an alteration of what's there. So we're looking at adding some engineered drainage structures or removing some drainage structures. There's a couple concepts that are out there that are going on. The committee is going to review them and put forth in front of you what they feel is best. Again, this is key to the Scenic Road Preservation Ordinance, which is being followed. And our idea here is to actually rehabilitate and bring back to what it should be during this process. Over the years, the vehicles, the traffic has kind of beat up all the scenic roads. And one by one, if we could address these slowly, this would be great. And this'll help for the safety of these roads and the ease and maintenance going forward. So at a later date, we'll have some plans for everyone to look at.
Excellent.
You know what
Yep,
I have?
Alex.
I know that to be a scenic road, you have to have certain things in place. For example, so many old trees, stone walls, there are all kinds of things that are taken into consideration. So when you do these corrections, those things are protected?
Correct. The scenic road is very clear as to what makes a scenic road, you know, when these were voted on originally. Trees, rock walls, narrow roadways. There's a lot of gravel roadways already approved, some are paved. The aesthetics are important to a scenic roadway, and the plan is to keep what we have there now and just kind of make them better. And again, you know, these roads have been beat up by the traffic, they've been beat up by the rain this particular year, so we're looking just rehabilitate what's there and keep with the value of the scenic road going forward.
Thank you. So it makes sense to me, most of the names on here, but there are also residents, which is important. How are the residents chosen for the committee?
So the actual neighborhood, the road, elects those people to
Oh,
represent.
okay. Good to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Item number 8, mayor's comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just did 5.
6. I noticed it.
That's just
Oh,
a
okay.
misnumbering, I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mayor, you should be
Thank you.
number 6.
All right.
So sorry.
Thank you, Katie. Just a couple quick things. First, congratulations to New Milford High School hockey player Nick Solomon, as he scored over 100 career points.
Yeah.
Amazing. Still got some time to go, so congratulations to Nick Solomon. Congratulations to the New Milford High School varsity wrestling team as they became SWC champions again. And at the SWC championships, first place finishers, Christopher Reese, Richie Fernandez, Caden Reynolds, Tyler Roussel, and Adam Olbert. Second place, Brendan Batello, Alec Olbert, and Victor Ignazio. Third place, Adrian Fotopoulos, Danielo Scazzelli, Ryder Langolas. Fourth place, Colby Shears and Joey Fleming. Year in and year out, they do phenomenal job to the wrestling program, so congratulations. Congratulations to the Milford High School Green Wave Dancers, as they took a second place finish in the SWCs in jazz and hip hops. In this past weekend, they took third place at the Fairfield Ward competition, and they got the Judges Award for most intensity. Awesome. Congratulations to the New Milford High School varsity gymnastics team. They're also SWC champions. And want to congratulate New Milford High School varsity basketball player Lena Felez for scoring her 1,000th career point. Amazing.
That is.
Another amazing young wrestler, Chase Reynolds, and this was back in January, in the inaugural Youth New England Duels, which took place at the Danbury Pal. The 6K teams from all over New Milford took part, and Chase wrestled for his club team, which is Refinery Regional Center. They went 4-1 overall, taking second place. Chase went 5-0,
Oh,
defeating 2 New England champions.
Well,
And Chase was recognized as the competition's most outstanding wrestler.
way to go.
So congratulations. I know Chief Ceruto is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about our new officer. It's taking over for Officer Toro, but the chief and I met, so we all are focused on traffic and how we can help mitigate those, some of the things that we have done. First, looking at traffic stops. From January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023, there was over 2,500 stops that the Milford Police Department made. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So far this year, in the year 2024, from January to now, in the year 2020, this year we did 415 versus this time last year, 340. That's an increase of 75 or a 22% increase. Accidents in 2024, this year compared to last year, we've had 97. 14 more in parking lots versus last year was 81. 10 more in parking lots. That's an increase of 16 or a 19% increase. And talking with the chief, a lot of that can be attributed to the winter weather that we've had comparative to last year. We had hardly any snow. Where this year we've had some accidents due to inclement weather. Some of the things we're continuing to work on when it comes to traffic is the illumination study that the Connecticut Department of Transportation is doing. And that's in tandem with working with our state representatives, Representative Buckby, Representative Callahan, and Representative Harrison that are helping us with that. School zones, I know Chuck has been working diligently for the town. Connecticut Department of Transportation is working on approving our final design. Once that's approved, then we'll be working towards implementation. And those will be at Faith the Academy, New Milford High School. It will be at Northville. It'll also be at Scotticoke and Sarah Noble. So all of our schools will have school zones, and the school lights that you'd see. In those school zones, if you do go faster than the miles per hour allocated, it's about a $400 ticket, correct, Chief, for that? Correct. The traffic safety audit, we continue to work with the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and I want to thank Chuck for helping us with that. For that audit, we're looking at tentatively the second or third week in March. That's all going to be weather dependent as well. So another thing that we have been successful at is a traffic light malfunction response. We talked about that here at council before. We were at a level, I think a level 4 or a level 5, which meant 3 business days before they would fix the lights. I know the chief and myself, we contacted DOT, and they moved us up to a level 2, which is really the highest you can go. A level 1 is if it's at a railroad crossing, and that gets more expedited service if we have the traffic light malfunctions. Another thing, it's speaking with the chief too, we've had a very successful giving reflection vests to those, especially on Route 7, Grove Street, that did not have those, to help them with safety. As we notice, a lot of people were walking, especially on Route 7, in dark clothes, walking on the streets because they get off of the bus, and especially late at night. Some of the areas aren't illuminated as well as they should be, and we've seen strikes. I've had a few people ask me a couple of things. One, what's the cost of the vests? They're $8. Okay, $8. In a $120 million budget, $8. Come on. So that's all about safety.
That's right.
Okay, that's the number one thing. But also economically, right? For those that may talk about it, because I had a few people ask, well, economically, how does that fit into it? Well, here's the crust of it. Okay, think about this. An $8 vest could save a life, and also, unfortunately, if that pedestrian gets struck, you're going to have between 4 and 6 police officers. They're going to be investigating it on overtime.
Ambulance.
You're going to have the ambulance that's now fully paid going there to, unfortunately, grab the person that has passed, put them in the wagon. There's a cost to that as well. Then you have the fire departments that are going to come on. They are volunteer, but there's a cost for them as well. So I think a return on investment of $8 is substantially a better deal if we could save one person with an $8 vest. So we're going to continue to do that. One thing I am going to be asking is I did have some people ask if they could donate and help out. Absolutely. If you're interested, you can contact the mayor's office, and we'd be glad for you to help out as best you can, if you'd like to. I know in speaking with the chief, we're going to continue to do that. We've had lots of people ask, and it was great last night. I was driving my car on Route 7, and I saw 2 people with those vests on.
Good.
So, sounds like a win to me.
Yeah.
Couple other things too, East Street School. Kind of an update for the council and those watching. We had our first, as we all know, public meeting. I met with Laura Pierre from Pierre Associates, and she was the firm that did the feasibility process as well. We're looking to conduct an additional public input. I'm also waiting for more information from the Connecticut Historic Preservation Trust on grant opportunities that we may be having. And we're also looking at opportunities to present to the town council and the public for uses for East Street School as it compares to the study that was done. Pettibone. I've spoken with Dean Petroselli. They're finalizing the cost analysis for Pettibone. As soon as I get that, hopefully it's going to be prior to our next council meeting. If it is, I'll be putting that on the town council so that we can talk about John Pettibone and the cost to bring that building up to code, or what we're going to do with either one of these buildings. The River Trail. I met with Lisa Arabson from the River Trail Committee. Tammy Reardon and Victoria Cavaleros were going to be preparing the River Trail Recreational Grant. This grant will be used to prepare possible places where the trail can be attached to the Brookfield River Trail all the way up to Still River. So we're going to be putting in that application. The application date is by March 11th of this year. We're also working with the DPW team, as we've talked about here before. Once the pipe yard moves, which is on Youngs Field down to Century Brass, to make that area a pocket park. And that area is where the Aspetuck meets into the Housatonic. So it's a great spot to put a pocket park. People can fish. We can put a kayak port there as well. Canoe port there also. I met with Dr. Parlato, Facilities Director Matt Cunningham, Finance Director for the, or Finance Manager for the Board of Ed, Anthony Giovone, concerning capital needs. As we're looking, as we talked about before, for a global 5-year capital plan and farther, and what the needs of the district are going to be. Very great conversations that we're having. Some of the needs, whether they be HVAC equipment, as we talked about here before, roofs. The first roof that's going to be needed to be redone is going to be the Northville roof. And then a few years after is going to be the Hill and Plain roof. We also have some other capital needs that we're going to be talking about during budget time as well. But I want to thank Matt Cunningham for walking with me on all these buildings and going over the needs, and also the Board of Ed Chair, Wendy Fallenbach, as well as Dr. Parlato and Anthony. Speaking of that, our next joint Town Council, Board of Ed, and Board of Finance meeting is going to be the end of this month, which I believe is the last Monday. That will be here. And then the Milford High School roof, where are we with that? So where we are is continuing to work with the bond company. We all know that the former last contractor that was let go. When we did an analysis, we found out that according to contract, there had to be 2 screws and clips in there. Some are 1. So we're working with the bonding committee, and we've also spoken with the Board of Ed and the superintendent, is that per the contract, they're going to put 2 screws in there. If they got to rip off part of the roof, they're going to do that. They're contractually bound to do that. So I know Jack Healy's been working, and Matt Cunningham, with the bonding committee and our bonding company, and hopefully we can have some more information to the council and to the Board of Ed as they continue to move forward with that. We're continuing to work on bridges. The first one, Boardman Bridge. So this was approved by the town council, the Board of Finance, and a town meeting to assess funds to look at what we can do for Boardman Bridges. That's a key component for the Riverwalk, for revitalizing that area. Depending on the weather, we're looking for a walkthrough this week. The RFP has been published, and hopefully the snow's not going to deter people for coming out and assessing that. Once that's completed, I'll update the council and the public. Lover's Leap Bridge, as we talked about here at the council before, we again, through American Relief Funds, we are going to be doing an analysis on the bridge structure. Also, people tend to put a lot of locks on that bridge. It's a beautiful bridge. Romanticism with that. Our DPW team does clip them off for safety. We'll continue to do so. We're also going to be looking, as we're doing the analysis, to look at repainting a portion of that bridge. Unfortunately, some people have done some graffiti there. We asked them, please don't do that, but some people are going to do that. And we're going to come up with a cost analysis for all of that, which we'll be bringing back to the council. Then as far as infrastructure itself, the Marial Bridge, that's going to be done this year. And they're working with the contract with Dayton Construction, who was awarded the actual work on this bridge. And we're working for temporary easements. I think they were obtained, and they're finalizing the inspection contract. Van Car Bridge, 90% of the drawings were received for review and comment. Then we move on to the Max. Roof repair begins on that, I believe, next week, and that all depends on the weather and the snow. Sidewalks, which will be, as we've talked about here before, which we received from a grant, will be from the condos south of the high school all the way up to Savings Bank of Danbury. They'll also fill in that kind of hole of sidewalks by Litchfield Crossings where Taco Bell is. And then from the Canterbury School all the way down into the downtown. There was a contractors meeting held on February 1st. 6 contractors attended. The bids are due on February 27th, and this is a state project, right? State funded. And questions were received and will be answered. And there's also with the sidewalks, it's another separate grant, but working together the same way is the sidewalks that go kind of right before Three Brothers on Route 7, all the way turning the corner on Pettibone. So they continue with that. Also, DPW is working towards their APWA certification, and they're looking at October for the completion of the certification, which would make, am I correct, Chuck? We'd be the second in the state to get that certification.
Correct.
And I know that the Milford Police Department is a certified police department, so they met that goal. So it's great to see us working towards those efforts. And then as far as roads, because now we're in the dead of winter, but the DPW engineers are hard at work getting ready for this year's road work. And they're also working with the contractor and the engineering firm as far as the Grove Street intersection study. And that's expected to be completed later this month. The East Street intersection, which we received a grant for, which is by the hospital, so Bennett and East Street. They're looking at a final RFP design, and they'll be working with our purchasing authority for that. Wellsville Avenue reconstruction, we talked about this before. This is another grant that we're being getting through what they call LOTSIP. And that's going to be a full, am I correct, Chuck, a full restoration of a mill and pave of Wellsville, and then also doing all the sidewalks that's related to that.
Correct, it would be inclusive of all that.
So we're working on that, and that's supposed to be released for bid next Friday. And then the contractor, they're going to be doing, as I said before, the DPW team, they're going to be doing their road evaluations and planning as it continues ongoing and working with the Municipal Roads Committee. And then they're also looking at drainage. As we all know, that's an issue with all of this wet weather that we have. They're looking at some draining concerns on Canterwood Lake Road South, Canterwood Lake Road North. And this is part of our winter work that we've been doing over the last few years too. And this is a significant savings to our taxpayers, as putting in additional draining helps with having to go back out again and again to some of these areas that have water that sheaths over our roadways, creates icing, putting down more material, more sand and salt, and driver time. So by doing these proactive efforts, it yields a great return on investment for our DPW team. And also, for the public, just as kind of a sidebar as well, we do have the community sand pile that is on Youngsfield Road, that those that may need sand or salt for their sidewalk or their driveway. If you're a New Milford resident, you can go right there. You'll see the New Milford DPW plant on the right-hand side, right after the ball fields on Youngsfield Road. You'll see a pretty cool V-plow that's in front of the building. It's the next one. You'll see it right there. You'll see the community sand pile. New Milford residents, you're free to take some to help you with your driveway or your sidewalk. And then lastly, the chief is here and Officer Jake. And Officer Jake's going to be replacing Officer Toro as really our community investment officer. I know there's another name for it. I like calling him investment officer. As we have noticed by implementing this hands-on position, this helps with those that are addicted, families with overdoses, also those homeless. We found that by interacting as quickly as we possibly can to get services, we find the outcome is much greater than if it's waiting. And I know really the boots on the ground, as Justin was, Officer Toro was, Officer Jake is going to be, interacts with our social services team, our senior center, those of our third-party vendors that we use to help when we do those. So I'd like to introduce Chief Officer Jake to kind of come in and talk a little bit about the successes that we've already had.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. It's great to be here to talk to you for a few minutes tonight. Great to address the community and introduce our new community outreach officer, who, as you said, is going to be replacing Officer Toro, who also did an excellent job. You know, when I talk to a new recruit, the police officers always say at the beginning of their career that they want to help people. They want to be a part of the community. And that's what Jake exemplifies. He's been an officer with us for 10 years now. He's a military veteran. His last assignment was in our detective bureau, so he's a very experienced officer, but he's also from New Milford. He was born and raised here, went to school here, graduated from New Milford High School, and with that, he has a very close connection with the community and knows a lot of people within this community. So Jake deals with a lot of different circumstances. As you said, people with addiction needs and services, people who are suicidal, people who have housing issues. It runs the gamut. We want people to feel comfortable calling us and calling our community outreach officer for whatever problem they may need help with. So I'm very happy to be here tonight to introduce Officer Snyder, and I'm going to give him the floor to explain a little bit about what he does.
Officer
Thank
Jake.
you, Chief. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and introduce myself to all of you. As the Chief said, I grew up in New Milford, and I've been an officer here for about 10 years now, and I'm very excited to take over this position. So I have a full-time administrative position where I work with the homeless, addiction services, mental health, special needs, troubled youth, and elderly at risk. But I also manage our department's social media. I do our PR events, and I attend most events in town that we can participate in. So I'm kind of a face of the agency as well as a high-risk navigator for some of these more complex cases that we deal with. And there's certainly no shortage of people in our community that are experiencing these kind of challenges. So what we found is there's certainly a gap between law enforcement and maybe the hospital and mental health and treatment. So what we found is that this position, it absolutely is helping to fill that gap and solve a lot of problems that we see in the community and at the department as well.
And I know, Officer Jake, you're representative of the New Milford Police Department with our Community Resources Team.
Yes, sir.
Which is made up of not only the police department, but is made up of social services, youth agency, senior center, ambulance. We all look at, doing best practices, and then also having you or our other teams referring out, as you said, to those third-party partners of ours to create that kind of immediacy. Also, Loaves and Fishes now has joined us as well, and I think it's a great benefit.
Yes, sir. So we have structured, scheduled meetings pretty regularly, but I'm also in constant contact with numerous people from all of those groups that you said. I'm constantly on the phone with these people, and it's certainly a collaborative effort. It's a team effort. We all help each other. Sometimes I need a favor from some of these other groups. Sometimes they need a favor from the police department, and it's been very successful for us. We've had this position for maybe 2.5 years now. Maybe this is our 3rd year, and the benefits are just tremendous, and we're really proud of it.
Absolutely. Alex.
I'm the speaker tonight, I guess. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great news, exciting. Also, because you know the town. So I love that. That's very important.
Thank you.
What hours are you available? Because I've been concerned, I've said it before, frequently people are in crisis during the night, on the weekends, on holidays.
Yes.
And most of the agencies working with you have regular hours. So how are we taking care of the folks when they are in crisis and you're not on duty, or are you? I don't know.
I have a department cell phone, and that phone is pretty much glued to me at all times, and I do answer it even on my days off. If an officer needs help, I am willing to help however I can and give them the best guidance that I can. In any type of emergency situation, our officers are doing an amazing job helping those people with their immediate needs, and then we have a special referral form, so they will fill that out and describe some of the problems that these people are facing. And when I get back to my shift, I have some of these forms waiting for me, and I know who to contact and what kind of problems they're facing.
And, Jake, to add to that, his hours are offset, so he works 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we have that gap where a service may go home at 4 or 5, and he's available into the early evening. And plus his days off rotate, so he will be available on weekends also. So
Wonderful. Okay, that was a big concern. The other is, we really don't have a place for people who are homeless to go to in town, right? So if you come across someone who needs a shelter overnight, they have to leave town. They have to be taken out of town. Is that right? For the most
As
part?
of right now, yes.
Yes.
In short, yes. I meet with many different groups as a representative of the police department, and one of those groups is the Homeless Coalition of New Milford, which I've been really proud to be involved in and
Great.
give my input, and they seem to value our input and our assistance. In terms of our numbers right now, we're actually experiencing a relatively low number of homeless in our town, which is good.
Good.
So we've encountered some obstacles for reopening the homeless shelter in New Milford.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was dissolved around the COVID time,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some challenges we're faced with, some shortage of volunteers, some financial issues with finding insurance. That's been a big hurdle.
Right.
So there are warming shelters in Danbury, and that's one of my capabilities in this position. I have a special car. It's an unmarked car, and I frequently go to the Loaves and Fishes, and I offer these people who are on the street homeless during the cold, the deep freeze temperatures. I offer them. I say I have a car warmed up, ready, waiting outside. If you want to go to the warming shelter in Danbury, I will bring you there.
And how do they get back?
They could take the bus, or I don't know. That's on them if they want to come back here. Every single time I've offered that to these people, they respectfully decline. They decide not to go.
And
Jake, they do
also,
offer bus passes from the shelter.
Yes, from social services as well. I believe they offer some.
now it's
some bus
also
passes.
Councilwoman Francis and myself met with the two Arthurs who ran the homeless shelter for many, many years. And we're working with them to reestablish the
Great,
shelter.
great, that's wonderful. Well, one of the things I was hoping we might talk about is the opioid settlement committee. And I would think Officer Schneider, wouldn't that be an appropriate person to be on that committee?
Absolutely.
You are absolutely correct, and I'm glad you brought that up because one of the groups that I regularly meet with via Zoom is the Litchfield County Opioid Task Force, and that's something else that we're really proud to be a part of. And we get constant updates about trends in our area, as well as new techniques and new treatment plans, and just in general what providers are seeing in our area. Fortunately, our overdose numbers have been extremely low. Even one is too many, but we are proud that we have significantly reduced those numbers. So I'm proud to say that when I do attend these Zoom meetings, I don't have much to report to them as far as our overdoses or trends that we're seeing. But it's very important that we are part of that group and we're receiving information from them.
Great. Wonderful, thank you, that's it.
Any questions for Jake? Thank you, Jake.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yep.
So, Officer Schneider, thank you very much for taking on this really important role within the police department. And yeah, I mean, every police officer has an important role in this community, but this one is certainly different. And I guess what my interest is in more on how are we focusing on, getting someone a bed and a meal is very important and urgent in cases, but I think seldom that ever solves the problem. So how are we working to get people the right, whether it's mental health services, addiction treatments, that sort of thing, to maybe help solve these issues permanently for these individuals?
That's a fantastic question with a very complex answer. And unfortunately, many of the people that we encounter who are experiencing homelessness are also experiencing mental health or addiction problems. It's usually a compound or complex issue involving at least two of those things. We offer every resource possible, even out of town. Like I said, I'm willing to transport people to any type of addiction treatment facility. These are at no cost to these people. I have connections with DEMAS, the Department of Mental Health Services, which is funded by the state. These are, again, no cost facilities and programs that we can transport people to. The biggest problem that we face is that you cannot force these people to accept the help. That's a very frustrating part of this position, but I never give up on these people, and I've had adult protective services, elderly protective services, other agencies, they give up, they drop these cases, and it's my job to continue reopening these cases and trying every effort possible to convince them to let us help them. So we have the resources to help these people. We certainly do. It's just the biggest obstacle is convincing these people to allow us to help them and to accept the help.
Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate your dedication to this position, and you certainly have my full support for any help you need along the way. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Mary Jane?
Hi, I'd like to add something. This is Mary Jane.
Yep. Mary Jane?
So, hi Jake. We met at the library, and congratulations on your new position. I'm really excited that you're doing this. I just wanted to say, in answer to Chris's comment, that I think a lot of you know I'm president of Milford Affordable Housing, Inc., And we have a supportive housing complex off of Thomas Lane. We have 12 units there. And Chris, just so that you know that these people come through the 211 system. They contact that system, and then there's a whole group of organizations that work to get them housed in different places, and one of them is our complex over on Thomas Lane. And in that, you know, when they come into that system and come into our complex, they get wraparound services. So they get like social services and mental health counseling, you know, job counseling, education counseling. So there is places in New Milford that we're actually offering that. And at some point, we hope to expand that, because 12 housing units is never enough.
Yes.
That's great, Mary Jane. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. I need to call you about a case that I'm working on when I get back to work.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete.
Yep, Doug?
I just wanted to say congratulations, and obviously me along with the other town council members have a full support of our police force and the chief and the staff, and all the officers have done a great job. So welcome aboard, and again, any help that the police department need, you have my full support as well.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you so much.
How many active cases do you have right now?
Well, that number is always revolving.
Average.
I would say right now I have 10 high-risk cases. Some of these people I have brought to treatment in the past week. Some people have been to the emergency room and they've been released, and I'm in regular contact with them, checking up on them, making sure, you know, they're still thinking about the idea of going to a treatment center. I'm still kind of involved with them. So I would say I would say I'd have 10 that I'm actively working on, and maybe 4 that are the most high risk, I would say.
How many are out on the street right now?
Out on the street, we have one out on the street who we've offered many, many resources to, and he simply just doesn't want to accept help. And then we have an elderly woman that's experiencing some mental health issues, that she's been living in a broken down vehicle for quite some time. And that is a very tough case of mine. And she's been to the hospital, she's been evaluated. Elderly Protective Services had dropped her case twice. I got them to reopen her case, and I convinced Danbury Psych to reevaluate her. They finally agreed that she would benefit from conservatorship. So that's something that Elderly Protective Services is actively working on right now, but that takes a bit of time. They have to present that case in front of a judge, and the judge has to deem that conservatorship is most pertinent. So that's something that we're waiting on. But I continue to check on her regularly, and I've driven her to the soup kitchen many times just because she's elderly and she's not able to walk it as well. And even our senior center has offered to let her be enrolled into our senior center, so she has a warm place to stay, get a hot lunch, engage with some other people, and do some activities. And she refuses just because of some of the mental health issues that she's got going on. She doesn't believe that she needs any assistance. So,
Well, thank you very much for taking care of them. That's for sure.
certainly.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good job.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Officer Jake.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last thing that I have, Katie, is here on the town, we're changing our emails from newmilford.org to www.newmilfordct.gov. And the reason for the change of this is actual better security, as we've seen some of our municipalities and localities that have been hit with ransomware. So you're going to be seeing that migration. I believe we're almost completed with that. And thank you to Dave Watson and our IT team for moving us over to that. Should be completed within the next week.
Great.
And that's what I got.
Good. Thank you, Mayor.
I brought up again the opioid settlement, so I'm hoping that we'll see something move on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And the certifications are wonderful. Does it do anything for the town as far as ratchet up our status in some way or help?
I think it's beneficial in a few ways. One, it's always good when you're looking at insuring. So that's a positive. And then two, when we go to bonding, when we talk to our investors, when they continue to see additional growth in our departments and then striving for, excellence, that's very positive that they like to see. So it is very beneficial.
Yeah, well done.
Katie?
Okay. Yes, I'd like to suspend the rules to add, since our numbering here was off, I was going to say it'll be item 9B, and this would be to discuss a public hearing for public input on our automated safety devices. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Any
you.
abstentions? Thank you,
Okay,
Katie.
now we'll move to item 7. I'd like to move to approve the closure for the Commission of the Arts. They'd like to close the Main Street crossovers from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. on June 29th, 2024 for their New Milford Arts Festival. That's pending Traffic Authority approval. That's 7A. 7B, the Litchfield County Artisans. I'd like to move that we approve their request to close the southern crossover on the green on July 20th, 2024, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. for their annual festival. And 7C, let's move to approve the closure of Bridge Street, Railroad Street, Bennett Street, and part of the green for the New Milford Veterans Committee on May 27th, 2024 for the annual Memorial Parade, and those closure to be from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. And again, these are all pending Traffic Authority approval.
Second.
We have
Thank
a
you, Paul.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 8, we have a State Historic Preservation Office preservation restriction, and I will read the resolution. It is, be it resolved that Pete Bass, Mayor of the Town of New Milford, is authorized to sign and execute the required 15-year preservation restriction required by the Department of Economic and Community Development, State Historic Preservation Office, on the Town Hall property located at 10 Main Street in New Milford, and that is this building.
So, Katie, you actually moved that resolution, correct?
Yes, I did. Sorry, I forgot to say.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Who seconded?
Aye.
Who did?
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Who
Thank
was
you.
it? Oh, Alex.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay. Item number 9, I'd like to move to set a date for a special town meeting regarding the capital item requests from the town's capital reserve. The McCarthy Observatory request from the town's capital reserve, and request an appropriation from Waste Management Fund for the Sullivan Farm Agro-Educational Project. The suggested date to have this town meeting would be February the 20th at 6:15.
Second.
Any discussion? I believe this also includes the, just want to make sure it's read correctly. Oh,
Capital item?
items?
Right.
Yep, okay, just want to make sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay. Item 9B, I'd like to move that we set the date for the public hearing to get public input on proposing an ordinance authorizing the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices, and I would like to recommend that we set that date for February the 26th of 2024 at 6:15 in the E. Paul Martin Room.
Second.
Any,
So what date, Katie?
The 26th of February, 6:15.
any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Our next regular council meeting will be Monday, February 26th in the E. Paul Martin Room at 7 p.m.
A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. And
Be
for
safe,
the,
everyone.
thank you.
Two.